thanks everyone for joining. I'm super excited to have this amazing panel of incredible real estate agents, office owners. And today, look, we really want to talk about standing out, meaning specifically, strategies for success in a competitive market. It's no secret that we are in a very competitive space, arguably a crowded space, right? And so we really want to talk about, different things that our agents do to really stand out, right? Whether it be from a marketing perspective or servicing perspective. And I'm really excited to jump in here. So just before we do, if we can just introduce ourselves very quickly, and I'll start, just based on my screen quickly. Heather, do you want to introduce yourself? Let everyone know who you are.
Yes, I am Heather Stevens. I'm located in Frisco, Texas, which is just North DFW. I'm the managing partner here with the agency.
Amazing. Mike?
Hey, what's going on, everyone? I am Mike Barilla. I am a licensed associate real estate broker with the agency in Manhattan. I think I'm the only one here who's not an MP, so super grateful for the opportunity. It's good to see everyone.
On the contrary, we can all learn from you as well. Leonie?
Yeah, my name is Leonie. I am managing partner in the Costa Blanca North, and that's located in Spain between Alicante and Valencia.
Way to make everybody jealous in the winter in the US, Leonie. I might have to kick you off the Zoom. And last and certainly not least, Jared.
Hey guys, I'm Jared Blank. I'm the managing partner of both Denver and Boulder, and I'm super excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, let's just jump right in. And I mentioned it before, right? We're in a crowded market, and the industry is really evolving, right? The way that we need to do business, the way that we market ourselves. So, what are some specific strategies that you've used to, create a personal brand and have unique marketing that has resonated with clients and really set you apart from other agents? And Mike, I'm going to kick this off to you to start us off. And I know that you recently had a really great PR win with the agency. So I don't know if you want to touch on that.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do that. What's so interesting, one of the things that I love so much about the agency is we really are a boutique luxury brand. And being in Manhattan, there's just so much competition. I mean, I think there's 80,000 agents in New York City. And so one of the things that I really realized as soon as we became the agency, the power of the PR is just such a way to elevate your brand. And I'm sure she's listening, Laura Corrigan and Andrea. As soon as we became the agency, I made it such an important part of my business to really just connect with them and get in front of them and really just build that relationship. And so every PR opportunity that they've provided for me, I mean, I've been in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, Mansion Global. They've connected me with some of these PR and publicists and people that work in these different businesses and companies. And so now that I have a good relationship with them, it's easy for me to just keep stacking the PR. And so I take the PR that I've gotten from them through all these different channels and I bring it to the marketing team. And I'm like, listen, like, can we showcase how much publicity not only do I get, but I get for my properties? So now as an agent, we're in a sea of competition and in a tough, challenging market, I can take all of that, all of my successes and bring it straight to the seller and say, look, like, you've been on the market or you're looking at a challenging market. Here's the eyes that I can get on it. And here's how I can stand out from the crowd. And I love the fact that we're small and I love the fact that we're new in New York because it just gives me a chance to prove how the brand differentiates from just a sea of black and white.
I love it. And for those of you that don't know, listening in, the agency has an in-house, team of PR professionals, which is pretty unique within the real estate industry, especially for, frankly, a boutique of our size. We're a global boutique, which is in itself an oxymoron. And we really are all about white glove quality service. Our PR team is exceptional. Certainly to say that every listing is going to get PR would be me sitting here and lying to you. But at the same time, I can say that our PR team is truly exceptional and does the best job in the industry to get our agents, the shine that they deserve. With that being said, Leonie, you were previously an owner of a boutique, right, in Costa Blanca North, and now you're with the agency. What are some of the marketing and creative tools that you've been able to implement since joining the agency or that you're now seeing are working within, within your office in Costa Blanca?
Um, yeah, I mean, obviously my brand is very much based on the years of experience and the knowledge that I have. But having a global brand in your corner is just, it really, really helps. And I also hear, I mean, this is a small town, a coastal town, but we have, I think, not as many as in New York, but like 144 agents. And you've got to be different. And for us to have, you know, a big brand like the agency behind us, the global reach that it can give us is just massive. I don't think that anybody can do that here on the coast. Many agents can work nationally or internationally, but we've got really that global connectivity with all the offices, around the globe.
I love it. And Heather, I'm going to ask you this as well because I follow you on Instagram. I see that, and when we talk, I've had you tell me straight up, it's a content day for me, right? So I know that you're all about, kind of unique marketing and trying to connect with your client. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, since we launched in April, of course, the brand of the agency itself has really elevated where we stand just in our marketing and the PR team behind us. Again, just like Mike was saying, like I've had listings that have been shared on the agency's Instagram page with 500,000 followers, which is huge to our sellers. So that's really elevated when I'm walking into a listing and able to say, hey, I have this that as a backing and what the brand brings. But I have a videographer on retainer and getting really organized on the back end of that. So once a month, I just take an entire day. Our lives as real estate agents are crazy. So it's really, I think we're all guilty of being very sporadic in how we market ourselves digitally. And I'm guilty of that. So I really honed in on, okay, how can I be consistent in this and taking the brand with it? And so once a month, we meet with our videographer, we create content, and then we have a schedule and we schedule that out throughout the month. So we take that one day and it's committed just to that. And it's been a game changer. It's increased our followers. It's increased, people are just constantly saying, wow, we love what you're doing. We see, all your marketing. So that's been huge for us.
I love it. And look, if you're listening and you're thinking, well, I either can't have somebody on retainer or I'm not sure how that would even be feasible. The reality is that you don't need to have somebody on retainer, right? You can do a one-off video. You can go and talk to 3 or 4 of your agent friends, and between the 4 of you have a videographer for the day and you each put together a video, right? So it's not an all or nothing thing, right? Doing something is almost always better than doing nothing.
I would like to say to that too, being consistent in it. I would say your phone is so good these days. You can do it yourself with your phone. And it's just the consistency of it is where we've seen a huge change and being super consistent across the board with our brand and everything.
I love it. And Jared, I'm gonna ask you this next question to kick us off. I know that you do an amazing job at crafting unique experiences for your clients and that, you have a lot of high-end niche clients. Can you give me some examples of where maybe a customized experience may have helped secure a listing or even strengthen a client relationship?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, especially in this market, we take the approach of really trying to make the little things extraordinary. I think I saw a stat recently that, historically there's always been 2 or 3 listings for every agent, but right now there's 2 or 3 agents for every listing. So I think really you need to make the most of every opportunity you have, whether it's on the buy side or the list side. But I think especially we do a ton of relo from, we have a couple of corporate clients who, when their executives are moving here or thinking about moving to Denver or Boulder, we'll tour them around. But it's the little things of like, we make sure there's a driver waiting for them at the airport, right? And then we have like a school consultant that they can talk to. We'll tour them through, different neighborhoods, obviously, but we'll show them different gyms or different daycares they could be a part of. And I think you get them, envisioning what their lifestyle could be. And then, sometimes for our sellers, we'll try to go above and beyond. And if we know, hey, it could be busy for the first weekend they're on the market, we'll put them up at a hotel next to our office. It's kid friendly, it's pet friendly, it's got a pool. They can make kind of a staycation out of it. And then I think it works twofold in the way that you're addressing one of their pain points from, hey, I was stressed out about having to get out of 8 showings for the weekend. And then also, they tell all their friends and family, hey, my realtor put me up at, this fun hotel for the weekend. And I think it's a marketing tactic that you can also leverage. And so I just think trying to find things that can differentiate you in this market is super beneficial. I know we take a lot from like the hospitality industry. I think at the end of the day, us as brokers are really here to help service our clients and make their lives, more efficient. One of my favorite books is called Unreasonable Hospitality. And it's the story of a New York restaurant that really will do anything for their clients. Mike, I'm sure you've been to maybe 11 Madison Park. But that I hand that book out to all our agents, and I really think just making sure you can address whatever they may need and try to like anticipate some of their needs has really, helped my business, especially with the upper end clientele, because that's what they're used to. And I think making them feel as comfortable as possible in a high stress situation like a home sale or home purchase is really important.
Well, and by the way, 11 Madison Park has 3 Michelin stars, so I think they're doing something right. And by the way, Jared, I'll add that oftentimes, since we're in real estate and we're selling homes every day, we forget, or we can forget that at the end of the day, for so many of our clients, this is the most important transaction of their lives, right? With the most important asset of their lives, whether they're buying it or selling it. And so for you to go out of your way and treat them as if that is the most important transaction or the most important asset of their lives, I think is highly intelligent and something that more agents should do more often and really be conscious of, right? We're not just selling their home, we're selling their stories, their history, right? And to make them feel special, you can't go wrong that way. Heather, I'm gonna ask you that same question because I know that you recently had a couple of unique client experiences. I'll let you touch on that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my clients just become my friends because I get to know them and myself, and I teach my agents, it's more than just a transaction. We really focus on relationships, getting to know them, little things that people just really appreciate the details and things, whether it's their favorite drink, their favorite food. What do they like to do in their spare time? I'm a gift giver, so I am constantly, whether it's an anniversary, a birthday, a new baby, I'm keeping in touch, knowing these events and things that happen in my client's life. So I want to take it far beyond just like, okay, here's a great experience during, us buying or selling a house, but like, how can I also be a part of your life and remember these things because that takes it so much further with them and you form these relationships that are, continuous and become repeat clients, become big referrals. I have something called Top 50 that I use and I've used it for several years now. And these are the top 50 people that I feel like are either going to refer me, repeat business, maybe they're past clients, but whoever these people are that I feel like support my business, I'm going to make sure I'm touching them at least once a month on a consistent basis, whether that's dinner, lunch, coffee, dropping something off at their house, but I'm consistently keeping in touch with them. So that part on the client end, and as far as with looking at listings and walking into a presentation. One experience I had recently, we had a meeting with a developer and we utilized the agency has an awesome listing presentation. And we took that and we made that personal touch with their branding and created a whole presentation and brought that to the develop along with a really nice personal gift. And they were just so appreciative. They love the fact that we really took the time to create that personal touch and put the two brands together and show what we could do and create. And we ended up winning the entire development that is going to be, a high-end custom built homes. And we secured it over other people. So
That's
yeah.
amazing. And Mike, I'm going to get to you in a second, but Leonie, I heard through the grapevine that you have a client that buys homes and land with you sight unseen, right? That they just trust you to let them know what is the best land, what is the best product, what is the best for them and what they're looking for. Clearly, that is, I think, the definition of, in many ways, a niche client.
Mm.
You know, how do you earn that trust, right? How do you get to the point where somebody can just call you and say, what should I buy today?
Yeah. I mean, it's that, of course, it's also taking the time to understand what they're looking for. Also, that comes with experience, knowledge of the market, the area, prices. We've actually working with a few groups of investors, and yeah, we just know what they're looking for. I've known them for years, and indeed, they buy, they renovate, and then they sell with us. So it's a repeat business, and on top of that, when you do the job well, you get referrals out of it as well. But yeah, you need to know the market and look for the right properties, and then straight away, without going online, they go straight as well with the presentations of the agency. They go to the client, and yeah, most of the times within 24 hours, we sell that property, and then they do the building on it, and then we get it back for sale in 18 months time when it's ready. But it's also looking after, I also do all of the things that Heather and Jared said as well. I mean, we're picking clients up from the airport, we're bringing them to the hotel, taking out for dinner or coffees, weekly conversations. So it's also getting to know, I think, that personal touch, I think, is very important as well, because I think a client or a customer needs to not just value your time, but want to give it to you as well, want to give the business to you as well. And I think that's also that relationship, of trust, credibility, honesty. I think that goes a long way.
Absolutely. And look, like Mike said, right, in a city like New York, there are 80,000 agents. A
Yeah.
client can pick any of them, right? Why should they pick you? And Mike, now I'm gonna make you answer that question, right? You know, you're in the market that arguably in the world has the most high end and the most niche clients, right? What are you doing to kind of make that difference for them?
Yeah, I mean, what's so interesting is it's just listening to Jared, Heather, and Leonie. It's like, there's no secret sauce here. I mean, I come from a hospitality background. When Jared was sharing about unreasonable hospitality, it's so funny you said that because A, it was one of my favorite books, and B, I had a client. So as far as like relationships go, I had a high-end client coming into town from San Francisco. And, when she got here, I had a car pick her up and we had agency water bottles in the back and had a tour set for her. And, the entire experience, I made sure it was as white glove as possible. And, in a conversation, we were talking about some of the Michelin star restaurants, and I actually ended up getting her a reservation at 11. So the owners of the book who wrote the book, Unreasonable Hospitality. And, what Heather was saying too, I love listening to people that have like same core values that I do. I have a top 50 list of VIP clients as well. And those are the people that I know their birthdays, I know their family, I build intimate relationships with them because look, at the end of the day, when it comes to buyers and sellers, I think it's two things. It's to know your stuff, understand the data, the market trends, like Leonie was saying, like, she knows that her client trusts her because she has a proven track record of doing what's in their best interest. And so having that type of relationship with someone where you earn the trust and you keep the trust, but you also do things like Heather and Jared were saying, where you keep that personal relationship going. I do something like I'm very tactful with how I follow up with clients, but I also do it from a place of genuine authenticity. So like every Thanksgiving, so on next Thursday, I have a client list of about 350 people. I'm not calling everybody, but I send them personal text message. I spend 2.5 hours and I sit down and I text every single client and I follow up with a holiday gift for them. I check in with them in the new year. So it's not only am I being authentic and genuine and staying in touch with them, but I'm in front of them all the time. And so people don't remember, don't realize sometimes it's like, you want to be in front of people, you want to be authentic, but you also want to be consistent with it, because all it takes is them running into a friend at the gym and they're like, oh, I'm thinking about buying a place. And if you just talked to them 2 weeks ago, or you just talked to them a week ago, they're going to say, oh my God, you got to call Mike. He took great care of me. He did great on my sale. And I'm very straightforward with sellers specifically. I tell them what they need to hear. I don't tell them what they want to hear. And I'm big on follow up with data. And so I set the expectation and then I exceed the expectation with just over communication.
Amazing. And kind of staying in the same world as far as kind of high-end clients, right? And Jared, I'm gonna ask you because the agency Denver and you and your partner Casey specifically, you guys secured the highest priced listing in Denver's history. Um, and it was pretty in short order after you guys joined the agency. All things considered. So, can you talk to us a little bit about what went into securing, such a notable listing in quite a large city?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think a lot of the story that I'm about to share has a lot of themes of like consistency, and maybe it's just a microcosm of the company and this awesome brand that we all work with. But yeah, I mean, the long story short, we have a client who was a owner's rep for a very substantial property. We ended up listing it at 29 million. But we didn't know the seller. We just knew somebody through somebody that knew the owner's rep, and we had heard rumors they were potentially going to interview people to list their home. And so, I think one of my favorite quotes from Mauricio is, you got to dare to be bad. And I think also that goes along the lines of like just making sure you shoot your shot. And so we were like, screw it. Like, we don't, we've never sold anything over 8 million, but like, let's take a shot at this. Right. And the highest sale previously in Denver was around 17. So this was a big number for our market, especially. But we leaned on the corporate marketing and PR team, and we looked at a lot of the case studies that they had done in California and across different parts of the country on these $20 million homes. And we just put together a really nice printed packet about the company. And we dropped it off at the seller's house. And, we didn't, there's a gate, there's no way to get to him. And we just said that, hopefully we're going to hear back from him. And like about a month or two went by, and we got a call out of the blue from the seller, which is like, hey, I got your packet. I'm going to start interviewing people and would love to chat with you guys. And so there was a 2 or 3 month process um, for interviewing these brokerages. We were up against three of our biggest competitors. And I think to Mike's point, the things that really stood out or made us differentiate ourselves was, of course, the marketing, but you got to know your stuff, right? And like we had a very detailed pricing analysis in Excel. That was kind of the seller's mindset. He's a big like analytical guy, and he wanted to know that, there are different ways to price these trophy properties. And so being able to like read the room and speak the language of your seller, I think is super important. And then combining that with, I called Paul Lester, who in the Beverly Hills office was super helpful. And like, I'd never asked for $1 million in commission before. And he was like, gave us some great pep talks about like how to approach it, how he works with that kind of clientele. And I think no matter the price point you're in, I know, you could pick up the phone and call any agent in any of our offices. And I think they take the time to help you problem solve whatever listing you're going after. And so long story short, yeah, we ended up launching it um, about 9 months after we opened this Denver office. And, I think it was really just a credit to like the culture of the company, the collaboration of the company, obviously the marketing and PR department. But it just goes along the lines of like, you got to be prepared. There's a consistency in everything. But sometimes you just have to also get out of your comfort zone and really just not be afraid to fail.
I mean, look, if you do the same thing over and over again, it's going to be hard to do something a little bit differently, right? And you hear it so often in real estate, business, you ask for the business, right? That when you get into the business, when you get into real estate, somebody's going to inherently tell you that. Ask for business, right? So, and you kind of took it to the next level. And certainly you guys earned that, and the amount of PR and the marketing that you guys did for that, and I'm speaking from an outsider perspective as somebody that, lives a few states away in California. It was so amazing to see, what you guys did with that listing and leveraging more listings out of it, right?
Like,
Creating opportunity out of opportunity. Um, and, Leonie, it stuck with me a little earlier when you said that being with the agency, which is a global brand, even though we are boutique, right? That it now gives you a few other opportunities, right? Whether it be from, a collaborative or the leveraging the brand standpoint. Can you talk to us about how you have gone from a boutique to the agency and been able to, properly leverage that collaborative spirit or the brand itself?
For example, yeah, I mean, I've been in real estate, as you know, for many, many years, and my husband and myself we are on conversion, so it was also boutique kind of real estate company. But for example, to get a listing, an expensive listing of 4 or 5 million euro listing, it is so different when I go, for example, by myself. I am Leonie from so and so a company, to I am Leonie from the agency, and even although we are doing a lot of brand awareness currently here on the coast as well, because obviously it's an American company. A lot of people know, but you only have to search online and you see the agency, with 115 plus offices worldwide, with an office in Holland and in Portugal and several in Spain. And I think it's that global connectivity that's opening doors for us. We have seen that, in the last few months, we've actually really got a few big listings, and that is, thanks to the brand. Obviously, the marketing and all of that, we know it's fantastic, but it's just getting that foot in the door, that people say, it's not just national market, it's just, a global market, and it's a big family.
I love that. And you know, Mike, as we talk about, and Heather, I'm going to get to you on this one as well. As we talk about kind of how do I distinguish myself? What kind of strategies can I have in a competitive market? I also want to make it clear that not everything needs to be a strategy, right? Many things can be a mindset. Many things can be the way that we do things on a daily basis. And Mike, from what I understand, you have a pretty rigorous kind of daily routine and the way that you do things. So, walk us through that and how that helps you get through the daily grind of being a real estate agent.
Yeah. I'm pretty regimented. I literally just got hip surgery 2 weeks ago, and I'm back at the gym at 6 a.m. It's just the way that I'm programmed, and it's not something that happened overnight. I was in the hospitality industry before I was in real estate, so I was used to a completely flipped schedule. But one of the things I realized as I got into real estate and I started just surrounding myself with people that are doing bigger and better things, I realized I was like, it's all in the mindset of just consistency time and time again, and doing the same thing over and over, but just constantly looking to improve. And so for me, one of the things that's very important to me is I get up every single morning at 5:15. I take about 10 minutes to meditate, get myself focused. I take my dogs out. I'm at the gym by about 6 o'clock. I have a hard workout. I go to a personal trainer, make sure I get, the toughest workout I can get in. And that way also I have some time to have my own mental clarity. I think one of the things that early on in my career, before I kind of had that kind of schedule, I felt like I was always being reactive. I was reacting to what happened, what my clients were calling, my phone starts ringing, I'm starting to get just frantic energy. And I realized, the best way to handle that is to control my own schedule. And so now I'm up at, like I said, I'm up around 5:15. I have time. My phone doesn't ring. If someone's calling me at 5 o'clock in the morning, it's an emergency, and I'm probably not going to answer. It's just a random call. But, my phone typically doesn't start ringing until about 9 o'clock. But by 9 o'clock, I've already had a tough workout. I'm at the office. I'm set up. I have my schedule set. I have a to-do list of everything I need to do. And it's just very simplistic. So I'm always on the proactive, not reactive side of the business. And it's just been something that where I keep my focus on, tackling the day and getting ahead of it. Granted, I go to bed at 9 o'clock. I'm not the most exciting guy in the world, but I've seen the success just grow and grow, and it's been a compiling thing that's happened over time. So I'm a big calendar guy, big like stick to the structure.
Yeah, look, one of the and by the way, I realized that I didn't introduce myself in the beginning. I've been with the agency since the company began, right? I was very young. I was 19, and something that I heard consistently in that office from the most successful agents is that at some point in the night, I just don't answer my phone. That's when I'm with my family, right? And even if it's calendaring, I'm with my family, right? Then that's what it is. And I don't answer it before X time, right? Because in real estate, it's just so easy to become part of the rat race, for lack of a better term, right? I have to answer my client now because he needs the answer now. And if I don't answer them right now, they're going to go with this person instead. And oftentimes, you know, we need to just calm down and realize it's okay if we get to that in a few hours. The same way that people get back to us when we call them in a few hours and the world does not end. And the reason that that applies for even this conversation is because being successful also has to do with being organized, right? Running your business as if you are a business rather than just trying to sling homes whenever you can and seeing what happens, right? And having that structure, I think, really does make a difference. Heather, switching gears a little bit, as we do prepare for the new year, Thanksgiving's coming up next week. The holidays are coming up in a month. Things are winding down, except hopefully they're not for us because many agents are winding down. And that's when, in the words of Billy Rose, that's when you should ratchet up. But, as we do prepare for the new year, what are some of the tools or strategies that have been most effective for you in winning business and building your reputation within the market?
Yeah, I mean, for one, I'm working on a business plan. Every year I take this time out to see what this year has looked like. I always want to do better, go bigger. Like that's just how I'm made up. So, taking the time, to do a business plan, I think is so important. Because you got to have a plan. Otherwise, the days become chaotic, time blocking, those types of things that we talk about. It's not just talking about it, but actually doing it. And that's where I think sometimes it's just super hard. We have great intentions, but we get sidetracked. So setting down and doing the business plan, several things that, taking in that's really this year I've honed in on is a CRM. Having a really great CRM makes your life so organized. A lot of touches where we talk about these personal touches and staying in front of people, like Mike was saying, is so important. Having some of those things on the back end too is also important. So yes, you don't just let the automations take your place, but having a good CRM where you're keeping things organized is really important. And in 2024, myself and my team dove into that super hard. And yes, it takes time and not really anything that anybody wants to do, but it's a game changer in your business when you actually utilize one to its full efficiency. And then, obviously we talked about the videographer, really diving into our SEO, Google, getting those reviews, whether you're an individual agent, office. That's really important because people look you up. They want to see and know that you have the experience, and having that online presence from whether that's social media or Google or whatever that is has been really important. And then I've also started implementing the Zillow Showcase, which has been a big game changer for something that the agency now has partnered with Zillow in and has been great, with our listings. So
I love it. Oftentimes during these share panels, we have, different people from different companies. Today, we happen to have, five amazing panelists that are with the agency, right? And I wanted to ask, kind of in the same breath of what you were saying, Heather, as far as the tools, the creative, the CRM, right? Kind of being a little more agency specific, right? Each of you came obviously from another company before, some large, some small. What are some of the tools or the creative tools that you are using today, that you have access to today, that you may not have had before, right? So, Jared, I'll start with you if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you guys are, corporate's great in terms of making sure we have all the tools at our fingertips. Obviously it's on each agent to spend the time and, effort to learn them. But, I know a lot of our team is really using APT and the QR code functionality, like you can scan it or have if you're holding an open house and somebody walks in, they can scan your phone, they enter their information, it automatically uploads to the CRM as an open house contact. And I think that's been huge for our agents recently, especially in this market, at least in Denver and in Boulder. Things are sitting on the market longer. We've also really been using the Real Force program to, do open house social media ads, price reduction social media ads, and social media ads kind of all varieties. And the nice thing with that is it gives you all the analytics behind it. So you can send it to your client and say, hey, we ran it for 7 days, last week. It had X amount of impressions, it was geo-targeted to this zip code. And I think it really shows your value, especially in the environment we're all working in right now. Like you always need to be proving your value. So those have been two tools that we've been using, pretty regularly.
Give me some context, Jared. What is Real Force? What does that do?
Yeah, sorry for those you don't know. Real Force is linked to our CRM. So, like with a touch of like two buttons, it'll create a Facebook ad for you. You can pick the zip code you want it to target. It uses, everybody's online behavior to kind of understand who's looking at, real estate in that area, and then it'll geo-target them, and all those ads that you get on the side of your Instagram feed or your Facebook feed, is because of that. And so it's been really powerful for us.
Fantastic. And just before I move to the next question, Mike, I'm gonna ask you that as well, just because you're in such a unique market in being in New York City, where seemingly the world is available in New York, right? What are some of those tools that you're using today that you may not have used yesterday?
So I will 100% shout Heather is 100% right. CRMs are very important. The follow-up that I have does not come off the top of my head. I do a ton of volume, and so for me to remember everybody's birthday and everything would be insane. For a long time, I was using Follow Up Boss, but now that the agency has been implementing new systems, and I don't know if Shane Farkas is on here, but shout out to that man. He is the most patient and amazing CTO on the planet. He's helped us implement APT in the agency office in New York, which is the CRM that we can use not only to do listing searches, comps, things like that for our clients, but also it's got a built-in CRM. So I transferred my CRM over to the agency's APT, and it's just another way that I stay on top of stuff. I mean, Heather said it best. You have to have a CRM, you have to have systems, you have to be rigorous with your follow-up. And if you try to I did it for so many years. I was just like, oh, I got to call this guy. I got to think of this guy. I'd have a pitch for somebody. It was amazing, but I didn't immediately go to my CRM, I was just on the phone with a guy today and he's like, oh, call me in 90 days. I put 45 days of calling him and I have 45, 70, 90. Like I stay in front of it, but if I don't put that in APT and I don't have that set in my calendar, it's going to disappear into the wind. And you said it too, Ricardo, early, everybody in this business, we're so focused on chasing what's next and going after. And, most people get into real estate because they have an entrepreneurial spirit. And if you can back that with some structure and some consistency, you'll see great success. So I use APT a lot. And we also use the Creative Center to do our marketing blasts and things like that. And I've had, some of our marketing people kind of customize ours to just give it a little bit of we keep the agency theme, but we put a little bit of our own spin on it as well, just to stay just a little bit different.
And Mike, you brought up you brought up a comment that I think is great, which is, the person told me to call him in 90, I'm calling him in 45. Let me, oftentimes every single agent listening in on this has called someone while prospecting or what have you, and they say, call me back in 90 days or whatever it might be. I promise you, they're not putting in their calendar that you're calling them in 90 days. Right. So whether you call them in 30 or 60 or 45, at the end of the day, calling them back then is going to be better than calling them in 90 or 120 or when it becomes never. Right. So again, action is always going to be better than inaction. So one of the things that I really wanted to touch on here, specifically when it comes to different strategies, right? And kind of different insights in distinguishing yourself and how to kind of thread the needle on technology versus personal touch, right? Which is something that, I think every agent should leverage technology, but I also think that we happen to be in one of the most people-centric industries in the world. Like I said, we're helping people with the largest purchase or sale of the largest asset that they have in their lives, right? And with that said, how do you balance digital outreach versus personalized client interactions, right? We've heard from Mike that he's, texting people on Thanksgiving morning for 2.5 hours. And I would say that's personalized rather than digital. But how do you distinguish, okay, this is when I should do an e-blast versus this is when I should reach out? What kind of goes in your mind when you're thinking about what to do what? And Leonie, I'll start with you.
Oof, that's difficult because, of course, the digital world is a big place, and we all know here in the office I'm not super technical, but I do know, tech reaches new clients and new clients, you know. Yeah, it's a big place. I have to think about that question, I must
I'll,
say.
I'll get back to you. Don't worry. I'm not
I
going to let you
think
get
about
away
that
with it, but
question.
I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Heather, I'm going to kick it over to you. Same question. How do you balance digital versus personal? And sometimes personal can be digital, right? A text is a great
Yeah.
example, but how do you balance that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is important that you don't people I can tell when I'm getting these automated texts from people. So you have to be super strategic in not letting everything seem so automated that someone catches on. So yes, while you have these automations in the background, the personal touches are so important. I actually put I was super I love structure. So I put people in certain categories, and I'm sure if you've been in real estate a length of time, you understand there's different stages of people, whether they're ready now to buy, whether they're a past client, whether they're out 6 months. And then I have a system that I work off of. So, if you're 6+ months out, I'm calling you at least once a month. It's not while I have these automations going on in the background. So that way no one slips through, the cracks. Like Mike was saying, I mean, I've seen people where they have like people start at the top of their text and those are their people to reach out to. And I'm like, well, what about the other like 50 people that you have in your database? And it's so easy to let people fall through. And the worst thing, and it's probably happened to all of us at one point or another, where you call and either they've already found a house or it's like, that's so gut wrenching. And you never want that ever to happen again. And so that's, having that structure in place and having a time frame and categorizing people is really how I stay on top of that.
Amazing. And so, by the way, for everyone tuning in, if you have a question for any of the panelists, please feel free to type it in the Q&A or the chat, and we will read them at the end, and we'll answer those for you. Otherwise, at the end, I'll ask you to raise your hand, and we'll patch you through into the Zoom and you'll become a panelist. But if you do have a question, please don't hesitate to write them in the Q&A box or even in the chat box and we'll get to them. That being said, as we're kind of nearing the end of this, I want you guys, I want you guys to each tell me one kind of big takeaway, right? For everyone listening, if you just had to do one thing, right, to just stand out and be different and to win in this type of market, what would that be? And I'll start with the way that my screen is. So Heather, I'm going to go with you first.
Yeah, I mean, the one word that just constantly sticks out is consistency. Day in and day out, even though it seems monotonous at times, like of doing the same thing, getting up and prospecting, calling your people, forming those relationships. I think if you're consistently doing that, you may not see the results right away, but through time of staying consistent with something, whatever that goal is, you're gonna see the results of that.
Mike?
So yeah, I would absolutely echo what she was saying. As well as for me, I think the thing I would tell people the most to stand out, it's funny, I went to a meditation retreat not too long ago, and one of the guys was saying, he said, people think that love is the highest frequency, but truly it's authenticity. So when you have that authentic ability about yourself, when people meet you and they see that you're genuine, you're authentic, you're just true to who you are, and you really care about what you do and doing the right thing for people, I think it just resonates so well. So if you can do consistency would probably be my number one, paired with authenticity. So if you can be consistent, if you can be authentic, especially in like a world where, you know, you're talking about digital social media, everybody's posting the same thing. And to me, Instagram is just a highlight reel of what everybody wants to see. But if you can be authentic, and when people see you on Instagram and then they meet you in person and they're like, that is exactly who I was expecting to see, it just wins the business.
And it's so funny that we went through this entire panel without mentioning authenticity, right? I mean, so often, forget in real estate, right? Or, you can go online and see somebody post something or say something or do something, and it's just BS or it's not real or there's just something off about it, right? And if you do that, your clients can read through you too. I promise you, you're not that good of an actor, right? Being yourself is always going to get you further than trying to act as if you're something that you're just not. Because how long are you going to keep that up for anyway? So I appreciate you saying that, Mike. Leonie, one
I would,
takeaway for everybody.
yeah, I would say the same, be consistent, be yourself. I think people buy of people. Like I said before as well, it's I think honesty from the start, of a relationship is very important. Um, yeah, be the best in what you are good at and don't try, too hard and just be yourself. I think that's, yeah, I wouldn't, yeah, that would be my consistency would be my first, yeah,
But I
first
like
thing.
that. I like be the best at what you're good at, right? Again, it does kind of feed into authenticity and to feed into your strengths. And then last, certainly not least, before we get into Q&A, Jared.
Yeah, I think if you look at some of the most successful agents, they're all coming from like a learning mindset, right? So I think if you're on this call, give yourself a pat in the back because you're already here trying to do, better yourself every day. And then, if you look at the, national market, at least in the US, like I just saw a stat that we're going to have the lowest amount of transaction volume since 1995. So I think if you really think about, hey, like you got through, the first 11 months of one of the hardest markets we've ever had, like you should give yourself some flowers for that too. I think as you look forward to next year in 2025, like auditing your business, I think has really been, huge for me. I think it's something that you see the great agents do. And yeah, to play off like the authenticity theme, like be honest with yourself, right? Like if you hate doing open houses, don't put in your business plan you're going to do 2 open houses a month. I think if you look back at this year, think about like what didn't work because if you want new results, like you can't go back to doing the same things that you've always done. So I think there's an element of like taking risk and changing your mindset a little bit, but also just being honest and authentic with yourself of what are you really good at? Like Ricardo, like you mentioned, the coolest thing is like we can be the CEO of our own business, right? So you can figure out how you want to market, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. And I think if you, refine that process and just kind of, audit your business, you'll figure out a best path forward for next year.
And we mentioned it a little earlier, right? But this idea of I am running a business versus I'm slinging homes, right? Even that mentality shift where you can feel like you're auditing, your own business and you can put together a business plan for the next quarter or the next year or the next month or even the next week, right? That's always going to get you further than waking up and thinking, what am I going to do today? Right. So I love that. And, going into the Q&A questions, we have Bryce Miller that has a question. He says, in a market where many agents are trying to capture attention, what are some specific strategies or tactics you've seen work well for standing out and creating long-lasting client relationships? So, obviously we've touched on this a little bit, during the panel itself, but when it comes to actually having the long-lasting client relationships, right? What are some of you doing that really hits home for that? And, Heather, I know you said you know when their birthdays are and you know what their favorite drink is, and you're going to call them and you're going to follow up with them, right? Which is amazing. Does, Mike or Leonie or Jared, do either of you have anything that you would like to share? Mike, I'm actually going to pick on you, so go ahead.
I mean, Heather has said a lot of what I said too. I think creating long-lasting relationships is like what this business is all about. And so I mean, I actually, Heather said it too. I become friends with my clients. So many of my clients are my friends. And one of the reasons why a lot of people work with me is because a lot of people I work with, we have a lot in common. New York City, there's just so many people and there's so many transactions. And, obviously when you first start in the business, you kind of take what comes to you. But as I've been fortunate enough to grow and to, create good relationships and transact over and over with people that I liked working with, now I can be a bit more selective. So I try to put myself in circles of people that not only are expensive and high price points and buy big properties, but they're also just good people. So I think that's just really just hammering down what Heather said. Like I just stay very close to the people that I want to do business with and the people that I know run in circles where people are like-minded. Like I said, early on, you're going to grind, you're going to do the things you want to, to do to get deals done to stay alive, and especially in a tough market. But as the market starts to transition, I think 25 is going to be a really good year for us. Just I really like what Jared was saying too, just about auditing your business and treating it like a business. Know who's going to be your biggest cheerleader. Find those people that are going to be your biggest cheerleader and make the conscious effort to stay in front of them. And don't be afraid. People love when you reach out to them, especially if you're calling to see how they're doing and checking in with them. And back to authenticity, just being real. Like, hey, I really enjoyed my experience with you. I hope I did a good job for you. I'd love to stay close, take you to dinner. I go like hiking with my clients. I've rock climbed with my clients. I've surfed with clients. Like that's the stuff that they remember. And they're like, oh yeah, by the way, he killed it when he sold my house.
Mike, I do have a bone to pick with you because you said earlier that you had hip surgery 2 weeks ago and you're in the gym at 6 a.m. My wife happens to be listening to this, and I had ACL surgery 2 years ago, and I still make excuses not to go to the gym, and she made sure to reach out to me once you said that. So you and I can handle that off screen,
I'm
but very
so sorry,
disappointed in
Ricardo.
you. Look, last question here, guys. And honestly, I just want to raise a hand, and I think I have a feeling of what I'm going to see. Eric is asking, do you guys use daily planners, aka calendars, to organize your day-to-day to help you stay consistent? Show of hands for those of you that do. So yeah, I mean, we are all, and by the way, for if in case you were looking down or anything, all of them raise their hand. We are in an industry where it is very easy to become complacent. It is easy to wake up late and not do your job because at the end of the day, the only one that's going to hold you accountable truly is yourself. You are your own boss in many ways in this business, more than in most other industries on this planet. And to be able to keep yourself accountable even through a calendar really makes a huge difference. So that being said, I greatly appreciate the five of you, being panelists today. I appreciate the 130 plus of you that were watching today, for tuning in. Hopefully it was informative, and certainly I had fun. And I really appreciate it. This is going to be recorded, so if anybody is looking for the recording later on, please do not hesitate to reach out and we'll get it to you. And in the meantime, I hope everyone has an amazing weekend, an amazing Thanksgiving, and an amazing holiday season. So thank you all so much for tuning in today.
Thank you.
Thank you.